K2,
Flakka,
bath salts,
Kush, 25B, N-bomb,
Black Mamba,
Spice, synthetic drugs.
These drugs turned me into a monster. It's the most dangerous thing I ever have done in my life.
A synthetic drug is a man-made drug that tries to simulate or match the properties of actual street drugs.
Synthetic drugs include Spice or K2, bath salts, crocodile, and a drug known as N-bomb that's used and marketed as a replacement for LSD.
Spice or the K2 would come in these packages with some kind of picture and saying on it, all these different names, and you open it up and it looked like the potpourri you'd find in your grandmother's house.
Bath salts would come in a small orange rectangular baggie, and it would say Crystal Bubbly on it.
There's another thing called salvia. It smells like fish food. It says on the back for incense use only, and it's black.
There's something like 200 or 300 new designer or research drugs that are out there.
These are drugs that people are making in the lab out in China or wherever.
Kind of just changing the compounds as they went to avoid the legal issues. You know, you don't know what you're putting into your body, what chemicals they're adding, or how it's going to affect you.
You don't know if you're gonna get a mushroom trip, you don't know if you're gonna get an acid trip, an LSD trip, a meth trip, a cocaine high.
It says not for human consumption, but that doesn't stop anybody.
The first time that I took synthetics was when I was 18 or 19 years old.
I was about 15 years old.
When I first did K2, I was 17, 18 years old.
I was probably about 22, 23 years old.
I was smoking K2 Spice every day.
I did salvia and I did bath salts here and there.
I was using bath salts.
My buddies was doing it because it was cheaper, easier to get.
When you think of drugs, you don't think of a smiley face on a package that looks like it contains like fruit roll-ups or something like that.
I got told that the synthetic drug wasn't that big of a deal, like it was okay, it was safe.
He's like, it's different, it's synthetic, it's made in a lab.
So I was like, okay, all right, if it's gonna get me high, let's just do it. My parents won't find out.
So I said, well, it's cheap and it's easy and it's right there, so I might as well, I'll try it. Why not?
All of a sudden, I went from being sober to being very high and uncomfortable very fast.
You do one line, you get that rush, it builds, and then it starts to fade away, and then you want to do more within half an hour.
The way I can describe it is just paranoid. Paranoid.
I was like spinning around, acting all crazy, screaming my head off.
I would be flipping out. Any little thing would tick me off.
I'd feel sick, like nauseous, couldn't think.
Couldn't see anything except for 360 degrees of random colors.
Your eyes get so blurry and you can't really speak after a while.
I had no control of my body, couldn't move or anything.
I would stand in front of the air conditioner because my body temperature was so hot. The sweat rolling down was just so much. I would change clothes 5-6 times a day.
Felt like my whole body was melting, like my guts were gonna fall out.
The physical pain that I had the next day, it felt like I had been beat up.
Like somebody had beaten me in my sides with a baseball bat.
And the next day, it just started all over again.
And after a while, I stopped paying rent, I stopped paying my bills.
You know, it controlled me. It made me to someone I wasn't.
I was up for about 2 weeks and I had to go to work that morning. Fell asleep at the wheel. I almost hit a school bus full of children, but I didn't even wake up until I was into the ditch.
My ex and I were using the bath salts. We'd gotten so bad that I pulled his mother's own gun on him, and I pulled the trigger twice, and it clicked. Thank God there were no bullets in the chamber, but it clicked. He picked up the gun and ended up whiplashing me in the back, and I've still got the scar to this day.
I freaked out. I put my hands on my mother and my sister and my family, not even realizing it. Broke the hinges off the car door, pulled it back around the front of the car, and I don't even remember. Woke up 4 days later in jail.
I actually ended up calling the cops on myself to my house 3 times in one night because I thought people were coming through my windows, but they weren't.
I remember running out back with a knife in my hand, thinking that there were people coming out of the bushes. I would go at them at the bushes with this knife until, you know, the sun started coming up. If there was somebody, an actual person there, I probably would have attacked them.
I went into a psychotic episode thinking people are trying to kill me. Beating up security guards in the hospital, like wrestling down nurses, doctors. They turned me psychotic.
I knew one kid who ended up Smoking a bowl to himself, he'd smoked it every day. He was pretty hooked on it. He has actually quit the drug for a good 6-7 months, but he still sees things that aren't there. He hears things that aren't there.
There was this girl that did bath salts once. She blacked out, and there was a video of her getting sexually assaulted by 10 guys.
He had been smoking spice for several years, smoked it very, very heavy. He had a minor heart attack, 23 years old.
One night I was at a party, we were all hanging out, and me and a friend were doing bath salts together. And I went my way, he went his way, and then the next morning I found out that he passed away.
I actually lost a good friend to bath salts. He thought he was going crazy and people were telling him just to do it. So one day he hung himself in his house.
My friend had left. He was driving his girlfriend's car. He thought people were after him. Later on that night, jumped in front of a train, lost both his arms and his left leg. He died.
I lost 5 of my friends because they were doing bath salts and they were driving down the highway racing another car, and one of them thought they saw a horse run across the highway, turned right into a tree. All 5 of them gone.
It brainwashes you because you become so dependent on it that it makes you push away everything else in your life.
I didn't want to go nowhere. I didn't want to see nobody because how bad I looked. My family knew immediately. Wouldn't talk to me.
I literally pushed everybody away. I pushed my good friends away. I wouldn't speak to them for weeks.
I lost my girlfriend. I actually lost a child in the midst of all of it too. He had birth defects.
The after effects is I have scabs on my face where I picked at it. Big old welts, bumps that come up that won't go away.
It ruined my teeth, it ruined my hair. I have gray hair, I'm only 22.
I still get little chest pains here and there. I still see trails of 2 or 3 people walking when it's just one person.
If I have a lot of things I have to do at once, I get real nervous. And I never used to feel like that before I did these drugs.
I've known plenty of people that don't have much of a life or an existence at this point. A couple of them are institutionalized because of synthetics.
I know a lot of people say that they're never gonna let drugs take over them. They're too strong for drugs. They're more strong-minded than that. But in all reality, the drug, no matter what drug, is stronger than you.
I was actually the one to say, I don't get hooked on anything. I'm not an addictive person, and you think you have a hold of it, but you don't.
If I never picked up K2 spice or even tried synthetics in the first place, it wouldn't have led me on, because it led me on to do harder drugs.
You will have the life of being used for sex and being mistreated for your drug. It's not worth it.
It's not worth the risk of not knowing what you're putting in your body, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing whose life you're going to affect or if you're going to destroy your own.
I wouldn't give bath salts or K2 spice to my worst enemy. That's how I feel about it.
It's almost like this chemical has a 100% addictiveness.
While I am all down for people experiencing the things that they want to experience and making their own decisions in life, this is just going to be one of those that you don't need to find out for yourself.